I am Dr. Frundi. I'm a pediatrician and author of a children's book, and I am really honored to be here with Dr. Wendy Schofer, who's a pediatrician as well. And I'm excited about what we're talking about today. Is it when picky eating shows up as anxiety? Because this shows up in so many households. I want to say most every day as a pediatrician, I talk to parents where this same challenge is just really causing a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety in so many households. So I am honored to have you here. But before we get started, can you tell everybody who you are, what you do?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Wendy Schofer. I am a pediatrician and I specialize in really working with families around creating healthy relationships with food and body and each other. And so this topic is near and dear to my heart today, talking about picky eating and anxiety and families and the stress of just trying to just eat something.
Right, right. Because as a parent, that's our job, right? To nourish our kids. And for me, especially, I have a kid who it was challenging getting her to eat variety. I chose not to label her, but for a while, it was just I used all those other options, like just eat it already, just clean up your plate and stuff. But come to find out down the line, her tummy hurt and she was scared. She really was because she just had this milk protein intolerance that every time she ate, she was just bloated. So every time she saw any food, it made her really feel scared and uncomfortable. But it took years for me to finally figure that out. And I'm a pediatrician, so we all going through it and we're all learning as we go through. So that's why I'm really excited to have you come in here and share like what are those subtle signs that parents may be missing, just like I did with my kid. Thank God we've gone past that now. But what are those subtle signs that parents could miss with your kids?
I appreciate, first of all, the normalization, okay, even before we get to the answer, because this is something that is such a common concern. And it's not something that, because we've been trained in pediatrics, that all of a sudden we're like spidey senses locked on and we know it as soon as there's a whiff. It's really something that there's a lot of subtleties that we can see within our family members, and especially considering that this could be something that could arise at many different ages and stages in life. And so I think that really we're talking about looking at patterns, patterns of eating, patterns of emotion. And so when you're talking about, subtle signs, well, perhaps you're noticing that there is a pattern of discomfort that your child has around meal times. Maybe it's a pattern of discomfort, and I'm using that term very loosely, some type of discomfort that they have around certain types of food. Maybe it's in combination with different foods. Perhaps it's around certain times of the day. Like there's a lot of different types of patterns that can be a clue to there being some anxiety that is happening, kind of underneath the surface. And we don't know about it unless we are open to the possibility of it. A lot of times, I think that when we label picky eating, like you were saying, I didn't want to label, I think a lot of times it's really easy to just look at eating habits and just say, oh, that's picky. But as soon as we say picky eating, it's like we're putting our children, our meal times all into this one bucket. And all that we try to do is change the food, change the eating habits without actually understanding what's going on underneath the surface, which is what you're saying. The subtle signs, there's some type of discomfort. What is it? And in order to really know, it's about getting more curious about it.
Right, right. I like that you say looking at patterns because you cannot really fix something without knowing where it's coming from, right? Because when you start looking at the patterns, then you start figuring out what are those triggers, right? Because a lot of times we see the behavior and we label that behavior, but once you start going back to looking at those patterns, then you can try to figure out like what was that trigger that created the behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate with even using the word anxiety, we're talking about a pattern of emotions, feeling anxious. A lot of times we're like, oh, my kid doesn't have anxiety. It's got a big A, it's a diagnosis, it needs medications, it needs treatments. But it's really just that type of discomfort. Like there's something that is unsettling, there's something that's uncomfortable. Those are all different forms of anxiety that our children can be experiencing. And getting curious about it really helps us figure out a little bit more about what it is that they're really experiencing.
Right, right. And once they're experiencing that, they have no words for it, right? They have no emotional words to say this is what I'm feeling. So what shows up, once you're scared and you have that fear and that worry, fight or flight, my tummy hurts, I'm shaky, I can't explain it. So I will throw the food to the dog. I will throw a tantrum. I'll do whatever it takes
Mhm.
to flight from that situation. Whereas if we understand that this is where the behavior is coming from, and we understand where it is, and then we stand a better chance of actually helping them through it.
I would say the biggest chance. Because if we're just focusing on, oh, my kid is just throwing food on the table or on the floor all the time and trying to like just keep them to keep it there, you don't understand why they're doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, once you see a kid who's having all this experience, who has all these behaviors that we see around the mealtime table, how do you help parents through that? Or what do you see that could possibly trigger it and help them through it?
So I think there's a couple of different answers, within that. And I think one of the biggest things is to first connect with parents because they are so concerned. They just want their children to eat. They just want their children to do well, to grow, to thrive. And also to have a varied diet. Like, let's be honest, we just want our kids to be able to eat normally and enjoy it. And it's very concerning when there are, concerns that that's not the path that our child is taking right now. And so, one of the biggest things that I do is really slow things down to be able to connect with parents. We want to fix things. And that again contributes to that whole fight or flight. Parents are bombarded by so many different things. Everybody tells them what to do all the time. This is how you change how your child eats. This is how you change the foods. This is how you make it something that they will eat more readily. And it's like parents are just being pulled in all sorts of different directions. And so the first thing is to actually slow things down, to be able to understand the stress that the parents are experiencing. And to be honest with you, it's because if we can decrease the stress that we have, our own anxiety about our children's eating habits, about our children's growth, about our children's weight, things actually get so much better for the child because we're not contributing to their anxiety.
Right, right. We are really this thermostat, and they have those mirror neurons where they mirror our emotions, right?
Yeah.
And to add to what you just said, it is we're busy. Parents are very busy. You get up, you go to work, you come back, you have this short 2 hour period to make sure they eat and do homework and whatever they need to do to go to sleep. So it is frustrating. It is tiring where I can see where a parent who is just overwhelmed, like, I don't want to fight today. Just take the snack already and go to sleep, right? Right. And then let's keep the battle all the way through and through. But what is a good starting point if for a parent who is just like, I'm at loss of it. Yes, I understand it. Like, where do I start? Like, I really want to nourish my kid. I don't want to fight during meal times. I just want to come back home and just have my kid eat.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, there's no one answer for that because to be honest with you, that was a whole bunch of different things like right there. I want it to be stress free. I just want them to eat. I want it to be easy. Those are actually different approaches, like different steps along the way. And so the first thing that I always start with, and I'm going to be a broken record, is about helping to decrease the stress for the parent. It is
Yes.
that important because if you feel like you're rushing around and you only have this much time to optimize all of the feeding, all of the parenting, everything that you're doing, there's going to be a lot of stress. By definition, there's a lot of stress right there because it's that pressure.
Right.
And so that's where I actually work with parents to be able to try to create a little bit more space around meals. Now, every single family is different, okay? It's not me coming and saying, well, you need to be able to create a 4 hour window here to be able to hang out with your family. No, 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 no. But that's where it's very individualized to figure out what is it that will create a little bit more space. Is it a little bit more time? Is it maybe a little bit more help? So some tag team, some extra hands, even having like hiring the high school kid from down the street to come on in to help diffuse or help out with some family dynamics around meals. Is it planning meals a little bit more? So planning on Sunday for just the next 2 days, what is it that we're going to be doing to be able to create a little bit more space and a little bit less stress around meals? What we do for ourselves to be able to decrease that stress is actually going to be working for our kids. But notice how it is remarkably different from coming in and saying, this is how you get your picky eater to eat differently. It's actually taking care of what we need first.
Absolutely. That's very powerful because as parents, again, it's hard. Most parents don't look at themselves, right? It's just like they cease to exist once the kid came into the picture. Or it's just like, what do you mean about me? It's about the kids. And I've seen a lot of parents in clinic where the parent is just like drowning, like tired and exhausted. It's like, well, what's wrong with my kid? I'm like, you need to see your doctor. Like you need to take care of you first. It's really important for you to take care of you first, and then you have that energy to take care of your kids. I'm sure you've seen that too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, one of the first, my goodness, one of the first families that I worked with, it was a mom who was just describing how she needed to be able to address all of this chaos that was going on around mealtime. So she would come home from work, single parent, two kids that were somewhere, I think they were probably like 6 and 8 years old. So at that time, of day at that age, the wheels just fell off. They had so much energy. She had absolutely none left in the tank. And they were like begging for food, but only certain food. The kitchen was just in shambles. And she's like, I need help with this. I need to figure out how I can feed them differently. And the biggest thing that we did was we said, what is it that you need so that we can kind of reframe this? Yes, your kids are going to be more rambunctious than you are at this time of day. They're going to have more energy. What do you need in that moment? Because there's only so much we can do here. We cannot turn down their energy, but what can we do for yours? And
Right.
so it really is something where it's addressing what parents need in that moment and not trying to change where kids very typically, very normally are. Developmentally, it's absolutely appropriate for 6 and 8 year olds to be kind of, off the rails around that time of day. They're hungry. They're excited to be home. It's all normal, all normal. What do you need?
What do you need? I love that. So, just summarizing what you've really taught us today is first of all, looking back and seeing, trying to figure out what are those patterns that you see. And then, secondly, starting from within, from you, what do you need? How can I plan accordingly? How can I create the space and the time to make sure that I'm okay to take care of you, the kids, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, and we're at the holidays, right? Knowing that, I mean, that's every day we see this, but the holidays can throw in throw in something extra in the pile that makes it even more stressful. How do you help parents or coach parents during this holiday season, as far as planning goes, so that when it's coming up, at least you have something in place to make sure that you survive the holidays and actually enjoy it, really.
I think that planning is something that we don't give enough credit for. We think that it needs to be like this big, elaborate, like, this is how I'm going to tackle the holidays. But I got to tell you, we find the same patterns happen every single year. Every year, we're like, oh, I have this stress, I have this, concern about whether it's going to parties or the food that's going to be there, or quite honestly, the emotions that come up around the holidays. Whether it's maybe a problematic time of year based off of experiences that you've had around the holidays. There's a lot of things that we can anticipate based off of our own experiences and start planning for what is it that will be helpful for you. So, taking care of yourself. It's not all about meal planning. It's actually not all about, like, well, how much do I need to eat before I go to the party? But what is it that I need to be able to take care of myself throughout the holidays? I actually started up with working with parents back in October. And I said, hey, by the way, the holidays are coming.
Yeah.
And so many people were like, what are you talking about? Like the holidays, that's like months away. I said, are you kidding me? Halloween is when it all starts.
Absolutely.
Halloween is the holiday where parents lose their minds. By the way, so do kids for similar yet different reasons.
Right.
How do you want to kind of pre-game it as far as taking care of yourself? How do you want to plan for the holiday to enjoy it? What does that look like? And so that's where we actually broke it down to, you know what? It's not about the food. It's not about, the sugar frenzies. It's actually about how can we enjoy the fun of Halloween, about the time, the creativity, like all the different things that we want more of. And that's what we actually plan for.
Right. And that goes too for Thanksgiving and for Christmas holidays and stuff. Yeah. Because then it
What you
takes.
do for Halloween applies for the others.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that in a way takes away some of that pressure that as a parent you feel, because it's very easy, like we said, starting off where you see a lot of information. You have to eat colors of the rainbow. You have to eat your fruits and vegetables, and you get bombarded by all this information. But then when you come into your home, it's like, I can't do it, right? There's that pressure, and then there's that blame for a parent or for the child, because like, I must be doing something wrong, or I must not be a good enough parent because I can't get my kid to eat, or my kid must be this horrible child because they just fight all the time, right? So, but planning will help.
Planning definitely helps. And so much of it, I think, is also planning for, how when things go sideways, when kids disagree, because they will, okay?
Yes.
When they do
Yes.
not agree with what's on the menu tonight, when they do not agree with what you're serving or, all of the foundations, all the structure that you have, they will disagree. How are you going to take care of yourself and just be like, hey, I know why I'm doing this. I know why I'm doing it. That is one of the most helpful things in the moment when things are going sideways, so that you don't simply say, that's it, I'm stressed and George Costanza, I'm out of here, like just tossing it all in and then letting the kids have whatever it is that they want. That is a stress response that we have when we're like, okay, just go for it. Okay. No, there's no judgment about that. It's just recognizing that's our stress. And when we're tapped out, we will often just say whatever we need to just cool this down. And so that planning is anticipating what is it that you need to be able to know, I know why I'm doing this. this is why I'm doing it. This is why my approach is this, and this is why I'm going to be consistent for myself and for my children.
Absolutely. That was beautiful. And thank you. Any other tips you want to give to our listeners who have a picky eater?
So I would always say just get curious. Okay. Anytime that I hear the words picky eater, I'm like, tell me more. What does that mean? Because picky eater doesn't mean any one thing. Okay. So it's really about, looking at the patterns. So I always want to know more. I want to know, well, what is it that your child does eat? Because a lot of times we only hear about what they won't eat. What is
Right.
it that they will eat? What is it that they won't? What is it that they really enjoy? What's a time that really works? Where have you found that things completely change? I don't know. Is it at grandma's house? Is it with the neighbors? What's different then? So it's a lot more questions. And I don't assume that just because this is what has been on the menu, that that is what's always on the menu.
Right.
So getting really curious. And then, as we were talking earlier about the emotions, what else is it that you notice? Not just about what's on the plate or what's being eaten, but what is it that you notice about kind of like that temperature? Okay, um, the emotional energy that is at the table. Maybe what's coming in to dinner time, and also checking your own temperature, meaning that emotional energy. What do you notice about that? Because when our emotional energy goes sky high, yes, we are well connected to our children. And it's not something to say that it's your fault. It is something to be able to say taking care of your energy can help. Okay. It's not your fault. And yet you also have a powerful opportunity to be able to help your child, not just in the food that they're eating, but also in that energy, the emotions that are around food.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's beautiful. And when you're curious and it creates that connection too, you get to really see your kid because you start paying attention rather than just hovering over and not really connecting. That creates that connection too, which is really essential for them to feel safe because if they don't feel safe, it's hard for them to actually eat the foods or do those things that you need for them to do, right?
I just got really nervous as soon as you said hovering over. I'm picturing like I'm trying to protect my food and somebody's like looking over. Oh my gosh, that
You're
must
like,
feel so uncomfortable for
right.
kids. Like
You,
when they're just being, evaluated or managed or, observed. What is it
right.
that you're eating? Oh my
What are you eating?
goodness.
Did you eat it? How many bites did you get? Because and no fault to any parent. I mean, I have done that. Like, finish it, just one
Absolutely.
more bite. And the kid is just sitting there like, oh my goodness, I just want to connect with you. So it really takes that pressure off of the plate, right? And more so with being curious and really connecting. As meal times a way to really connect as opposed to like the food on your plate, how many servings are you eating? It just goes off of the plate, and that really helps you with your own pressure. It helps you releases that everything you've heard, what you're supposed to do as a parent. And then also the other thing you talked about is understanding that it's not the same, it's not one size fits all. You're starting from a different place. Your household is different, so understanding where you are, knowing what you really need in this moment, and just taking it from there. So thank you.
This is such a pleasure. I love this because I want to ask you all the questions too. Oh my goodness. I think we have so many different things we can have fun with here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But you are amazing too, and I like your approach where you just take everything out and it's simple, it's practical, and it takes away that overwhelm. It takes away all the noise and just focusing. What do you need? That is really important, especially in this season.
Amen to that. I mean, I got to tell you, it's what it all comes down to. And what we need as parents, not what we need to do, okay? Do
Yes,
not misunderstand what I said. What we need, okay,
yes.
to be able to take care of ourselves, what we need for our own well being, totally helps our children. So it is absolutely critical to ask that question. In the work that I have done, in pediatrics, 20 some years now, can't believe I'm old enough for that. But anyway, I cannot believe I can say that. But anyway, it is so important because we will do anything for our children. And so when I look at parents and I ask them, what do you need? They're like, I'm sorry, nobody ever asked that. I'm like, you are critical here. You are critical. My job is to support you because parents that are running around on empty, parents who are feeling overwhelmed, parents who feel that they are failing, that does not help their children. So my focus has directly come over to I am focused on what you need right now. How can I support you? And I got to tell you, you know what they always say? First answer, when I say, what do you need? It's always a vacation, to sleep, a break, or for them to just be quiet.
Yeah.
You notice the theme. The
Yes.
first answer is always right
Yes.
because putting all of those together, a break, a vacation, people to just shush, whatever it is, it's all about taking care of our own nervous system. We're tapped out. We just need to cool it down. We need a little bit of a break there, that pause. It's so important. And there's a reason why you are hungry for that. When you hear that question, what do you need? You're like, okay, let's see how we can make that happen.
Absolutely. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So now, if there's a parent listening and they want to work with you or they enjoyed listening to you and your approach, how can they find you?
Sure, absolutely. So I will say, thankfully, there is one of me. So if you
Yes.
come on over to wendyschofermd.com, I was going to say we might have to like put it in the spelling in the thing here. I'm going to
Yes.
mess up my phone. But anyway, yeah, if you come on over to wendyschofermd.com and you will find out all about my approach, about my Family in Focus program, where I work with parents, again, to be able to address your needs. And being able to create the changes that you want to see at home. This is really how to create those changes in eating habits and movement and growth without harm.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wendy. I was trying to see if there's anybody who has a question. I can't find the comment box, but I would say before we finish that if you are listening to this, whether it's right on live or on replay, and you have a question about anything, just put it in there and we'll come back and answer them down the line. And thank you all for listening. And also, I want to say I do have a book, The Worry Garden, Planting Seeds of Calm. It's a simple book that you can connect with your kid and read with your kid and try to really be curious with them and explore, just like Wendy had mentioned. All righty. Any last words before we leave? I don't see that there are any questions in the comment
I
box
just
for
want to
me
thank
here.
you so very much. This is so lovely to connect with you any chance I get. So thank you.
Thank you for joining me. Until next time. Bye.
Take care.
Okay.